Good evening, my kicktalk family. It's your boy Tripple Rich. I'm back again like some taillights, and today we're going to talk about an underground footwear classic that a lot of people don't give enough credit to. The Converse Weapon 86. Do you know about the shoe? Because if you don't, you're about to know. So let's get it. So let's get into some fun facts about the Converse Weapon 86 before we get into the technicals and the nitty-gritty. Favorite fact, number one fact, Larrybird and Magicjohnson, the two faces of the ad campaign at the time, had such deep beef because of the Lakers and the Celtics that they almost didn't shoot this ad. They almost lost out on a bag because of their beef. That's such a funny thing when it comes to footwear and money, right? Because all you gotta do is take a picture. All you gotta do is be in a video, and these guys hate each other so much that they're like, we're gonna have to figure this out. Second fact, since the 1918 time, maybe let's say since the 1920s, Converse has had a stronghold on basketball and NBA. And honestly, from the 1920s all the way to the 1980s, nobody was touching Converse. Funny enough, this is probably the last significant model they had before Nike and Michael Jordan came and changed the market forever. All right, so let's talk about some technicals. We're going to talk about the early days of Converse. 1918, they come out with the Converse All-Star. 1923, they drop the Chuck Taylor. Until probably the 60s, 70s, they're just running with that model. Then Dr. J comes along, and they come out with the Pro Leather. This was actually one of Michael Jordan's favorite shoes as he's in college, and he actually wanted to sign to Converse and not Nike. Then we get to the 80s. Michael Jordan is coming into the league, but Converse is still holding on to its last breath. They find the best players at the time, Larrybird, Magicjohnson, Isaiah Thomas, to name other few, and they put the shoe on them. No, this shoe wasn't selling out in stores everywhere like we would see for later models, but because the stars were in the shoe, it made it that more iconic, right? We still see videos today of Larrybird, Magicjohnson, and because of that, they're still wearing weapons. So with all this being said, it's kind of weird to me that the shoe hasn't got the respect of some other shoes that are on NBA grades. Because the shoe was worn by all these stars, everybody wanted a pair at that moment. But like I said, 86, this was around the time that Nike and Jordan were getting popular. So I noticed as far as a consumer standpoint, the shoe did not last on shelves for a long time. But as said before, it would be remembered for a while because of the people who were wearing the shoe. Now, in the 2000s, Converse decided, all right, it's time to revamp, it's time to re-release the shoe and see if we get a good draw on it. Same thing happened. Jordan retros boomed in the early 2000s, and as Converse tried to put out a retro, I'm not gonna lie, it had a moment. If you grew up in the early 2000s like me, you do remember seeing some of these on the streets, especially that Isaiah Thomas white and blue pair. A lot of people were matching it with throwback jerseys from the Clippers and any other red, white, and blue team you could think of. So I do think that in the 2000s, as much as the shoe once again didn't get love, it still had a moment in time where real sneakerheads like myself remember this. From my research looking at the 2000 retro compared to the original, I would say that the 2000 retro that came out was a little chunkier. I actually have a pair right here. The collar, they made it very padded, and honestly, if you ever put the shoe on, if you ever get a chance, your ankle feels like it's in heaven because it is such a thick padding around the shoe. It's honestly impenetrable. But my favorite memory about the 2000s Converse Weapon is that Kobe Bryant wore the shoe. He wore the shoe on the court. We're talking about 1986 technology. Kobe was hooping in this thing in like 2004. Kobe was a sneaker free agent, as they called it at that time. He was leaving Adidas and he was eventually going to get to Nike. But during that gap period, he wore whatever he wanted. And I just thought it was so cool for him to literally wear the Magicjohnson colorway in his Lakers uniform and drop buckets in an NBA game. Now, I will say, I feel like Converse is slipping. They need to drop these again. And It's funny for me to say that because I did just tell you from a consumer standpoint, the shoe failed twice in the market. But I just have a feeling it's going to do better this time. Or maybe I'm being selfish because even though I'm not a Celtics fan, I do want the Larrybird black and white pair. So clean. Maybe I'm getting older and it's just a more mature shoe, but I'm so ready for them to retro those. They have tried to retro it though, and if you ask me, it didn't go so well. First thing is, in the most recent 5 years, they retroed the Weapon and they called it the Weapon CX. What they did was they kept the upper all original, but they changed the midsole to some kind of funky, chunky, futuristic thing. The black and white pair, that's close to Larry's pair is tolerable, but it's not, it doesn't bring that old feeling back. The other retro that they did as far as using the Weapon as inspiration is Rick Owens. Rick Owens came out with a collab with Converse called the Dark Shadow Turbo Weapon. Now, Dark Shadow is one of Rick Owens' brands, and as you hear in the name Weapon, is coming from the Converse Weapon. So what they did for that is they, once again, kept the upper because it's so iconic, and they slapped on a chunky Rick Owens sole. Personally, I like the Rick Owens version better than I like the CX version, but both of them just, it's not this, you know? The Converse Weapon 86 has a special place in my heart because of Magicjohnson, because of Larrybird, because of Kobe Bryant, just because of NBA moments. And honestly, I think they got to give it one more shot, one more honest try to retro this model. I think it's going to go bananas this time around. I don't know why, but I know why. You know what I'm saying? So, what do you think about the Converse Weapon? Are you a fan? Is it too chunky for you? Is it too 80s for you? Because it's 80s, right? Come on, talk to me, get at me, message me, comment me, all that. I'm ready to socialize about the things we love. Kicks, baby. So this is Kick Talk Volume 9. I'm going to see you soon for the 10th chapter. And until then, do your research, get better, and I will too. I'll see y'all later. We out.